Let's talk about the Arsenal defense. Incredible. Obviously, Ryan Ramsdale have shared the clean sheets, but we have one of the best teams in terms of keeping clean sheets in the league. Some occasions we could have kept more. Like if it's not for our mistakes against Man United, one mistake we concede, that would have been a clean sheet. One mistake against Wolves, we concede, that could have been a clean sheet. One counter-attack from Nottingham, we concede, that could have been a clean sheet. So we have the capability of, right now we could have conceded maybe 4 to 5 goals totally, because keeping Brighton out, keeping Man City out, teams who absolutely love attacking, and we keep them down to one shot on target, that is quite impressive. So Saliba, Gabriel, Ben White, Zinchenko, all of them have played this season. When Timber and Tomiyasu are back, Cozy, what do you think is our starting four? Now, we already know about Gabriel and Saliba, right? They're obvious, they have to be there, right?
Well, I mean, if you're Mikel Arteta, they've always said that it's a good problem to have. I don't think it's a good problem to have because you have the summer coming up, and agents will be threatening my players going away or things like that. But I think our best back four is Zinchenko at left back. People will be surprised, but I'm going to explain myself. Zinchenko at left back, Timber at right back, and that centre-back pairing of Saliba and Gabriel. And why I've actually left Zinchenko in the team, it's very, very easy. It's the way we play. And I think because we're used to him, we don't understand. We understand, but we don't appreciate how good this guy is when it comes to facilitating Arsenal and the play. We undermine him. We really, really do. And there's so many people out there that no one talks about Zinchenko this season, by the way. Everyone is quiet. Why? Because he's defending well and he's doing his job of facilitating very, very well. I've seen an increase in his defensive output and numbers and accuracy. So Zinchenko stays. Absolutely stays. And why I think Alexander Zinchenko should stay, when you have Timber, Gabriel, and Saliba, those are three, best, three of the best young centre backs in the world right now. Like I look at Jules Kounde at Barcelona, I'm not convinced really. Probably Bastoni, that one I'm convinced about. But Timber, Gabriel, and Saliba, those three, trust me, in the next 10 years, each of them is going to be the main centre back for their nation. Timber for Netherlands, Gabriel for Brazil, and Saliba for France. Right. So keep Alexander Zinchenko, allow him to shift into the midfield a lot of the time, allow him to form that double pivot with Declan Rice, because the way he sprinkles those passes, it's helping, right? It's helping in ball progression. And then the other thing we have seen is he's really exploiting high lines, and teams are no longer willing to play high lines. Against Aston Villa, we don't win that game because of two things. One, the captain was on a day off in that game in terms of his finishing. For me, that's the reason. The other reasons are no one was able to deputize Odegaard in terms of scoring goals. But how many times did Alexander Zinchenko play that ball to expose the high line? And how many times did that ball get to the right person? Martinelli or Saka? 100% of the time, right? So for me, listen, Zinchenko has got to stay in that team. He's a unique player in a very unique position. And that position, trust me, gives a lot of problems to teams. It's causing a lot of problems to opponents. They do not know, do they commit a player to Alexander Zinchenko? And when they do, what happens to Gabriel Martinelli? So you either have to commit a player to Gabriel Martinelli and Zinchenko, which means that you're going to have to sacrifice numbers somewhere. With Julian Timber, his defensive ability is insane, but he just drifts into midfield. He just allows us to have a midfield of three. Zinchenko drifting inside, Timber drifting inside, and then Declan Rice. And then it allows Declan Rice as well to occupy advanced areas on the pitch, because Timber is like a 6. He's so good in that area. You're not afraid of any team catching you on the break when you have Timber right there alongside Zinchenko. Then the centre-back pairing, apart from me thinking that we should get a 19-year-old, probably Osman Diamonde, and groom him to be a very, very good cover, those two boys have done well. And I think it was Carragher, and I really respect the opinion of Carragher, because he said if Arsenal keep that centre back pairing fit, they will win the league. And as a centre back, he knows that defenses win you the title. It's a marathon, and the less goals you concede, the more you score. The easier it is to score goals. It's why Unai Emery, for me, in terms of winning the league, he's like a joke. This guy will open up in some games, and he will concede like 20 goals in 3 games. I don't think that is a real good quality of a manager that wants to win the league. You've got to build that defense strong. That's what Mikel has done ever since coming in. His focus has been on the defense. Every summer, he signed a centre back. He signed a defender. Gabriel, when he just came in, I think the next season was about the Tomiyasu's, probably. Then you have Timber coming in this summer. You have the Ben White coming in the summer before that. So he's focusing on his defense every single summer. He's signing a quality.
I think his first signing was Pablo Mari, actually, another centre back.
Yeah,
he loves the centre backs. He absolutely loves centre backs. So there's a lot of points to take from that. So let's start with Zinchenko. I share the same feeling as you. I usually feel like people make it look like a calamity, like, oh my God, Zinchenko is at left back, you're going to concede 5 goals. I don't think it's that. Does he lose concentration a few times? Yes, he does give away the ball like a couple of times in the game, and you're like, oh, that's an easy pass. Sometimes he does give away the ball when he's attempting a pass or a good pass or something like that. I don't mind that when a player gives away the ball and attempting like a tricky pass, because if it's executed in a very good position. Now, there's a few people in the fan base who are like, sell him, and I'm like, no, you cannot sell him. This is his second season. Is one of the reasons why I've come back here. But there's another section that are like, no, I don't want him to play defense, but I want him to play in midfield. So I feel like if you have Zinchenko playing in midfield, obviously take away Arteta's plan of having a defender going into midfield and packing up the midfield. So if you have Zinchenko and Rice in the midfield right away, you don't have that extra number coming from defense and basically playing a back 3. Or maybe, do you entertain it? Do you entertain having Zinchenko in midfield and then having Timber at left back and having Timber coming in? So because some people will say Timber does not make those mistakes. So if you have someone secure at left back and he also comes in midfield and he joins up with Zinchenko and also Rice, and then they basically cannot pass that midfield. Or do you just want Zinchenko at left back?
No, absolutely not. I want Alexander Zinchenko at left back. I think with Zinchenko, I don't think he would give you the defensive assurance and the ability to press that any of our midfielders currently gives you. Rice is a pressing monster, but it's also a tackling monster. I don't think Zinchenko is that. Kai Havertz is a pressing monster. Zinchenko is not that. And Odegaard is the best pressing midfielder on the planet. In the world right now. So for me, I don't think Alexander Zinchenko should be playing in midfield. I don't think he will go into the penalty area and accurately finish like we want Kai to become. I don't think he's going to be that guy that will pressurize the opponents. He's just doing all right where he is. Like, he is good and comfortable to pick up the ball in deeper areas and then advance it. He's very good in those areas where you want someone to fall back onto. Right? You're facing a low block. You need to fall back to someone and need a brain that can occasionally split the defense. That is the guy. I mean, taking him into midfield would ask more of him, and we would actually not love him there. I would not love him there. I want him to be creating those midfield overloads. Right? We have 3 midfielders. He becomes the 4th, and then when we are totally in possession, Timber can actually become the 5th midfielder and just overload everything.
Yeah, I think those fullbacks position are positions where you can rotate. Obviously, I have that love for Zinchenko and Ben White that no one can really get to, because they've really helped us recently. Now, obviously, the likes of Zinchenko, it does get injured here and there, so eventually people can get the game time. But there's 2 players he left out. Obviously, the first one is Ben White. I'm sure you're not leaving him out because of his ability or anything, or do you actually think like, no, you can actually upgrade with him? Like, Timber is an absolute upgrade, or you just think Ben White is unlucky for you to drop him? And when he comes on, do you think he comes on as an utility player, can bring him on at right back, at centre back, or for Saliba to rest, or do you think now just bring him at right back, just rotate him with Timber?
I actually think he's a little bit unlucky now that Julian Timber's come in, because talent-wise, Timber is massively, massively ahead of him in terms of just raw talent and just talent. But he's one of those players that every team should have. He's one of those players that every single team should have a player like Ben White. He's you know, he's one of those players that first and foremost very durable, and he can play every single game the same way. He will suffer a couple of games, but I love the way he can consistent play game after game after game and again. And to some extent, we don't realize that he's there unless someone has gone past him or someone has literally given him a hard time. You might not realize that he's there. Like he's not that player that has these high quality games. Not really. Like I was watching a documentary on Robana TV, and he was talking about Matteo Darmian at Inter Milan and how he actually got them to the UCL final. And he was saying that he's not this kind of guy that is exceptional or has exceptional performances, but you can trust him to do his job. And I think with Ben White, as he grows into the game, he will become that kind of guy that you trust him to do his job, nothing more, but you trust him to do
7 out of 10, just 7 out of 10 every game.
Yeah, exactly, 7 out of 10 every game. So I don't think he should just be a utility player. I think he's going to be at Arsenal for a long time, by the way, because if you're moving him on, you're moving him for in excess of 70 million. I don't think there's so many clubs that are going to, come here lining up 70 million for Ben White. So it's going to be at Arsenal for a very long time. And just like Mikel did when Saliba came in, he's going to keep on finding a new role for him. I won't be surprised if he becomes John Stones. Like he just plays in when Declan Rice is not there, he plays in that position at times, right? I wouldn't be surprised at all. But he's not a bad player. The only thing I don't like about Ben is when he gets in 1v1 situations with those high-class wingers and explosive wingers, he can get exposed at times. He can get done a little bit. So against Karim Mitoma, against Brighton, in the Brighton game, I think he's had a quiet game. But the moment Mitoma decides to take them on him and Saka, on 2 occasions, 2 chances created, 1 was deadly. I don't know how Pascal Gross doesn't score that. Against Marcus Rashford, Kai gives away the ball. Yes, I understand. But as Ben White, you've got to close that guy down. He's going to look for that yard to curl it, and he uses him as a board to actually curl the ball. So that's my problem with him, is that at times he doesn't really commit enough into those challenges, and he wants to invite the winger on, and he doesn't have the skill set, in my opinion, of a Saliba or a Timber to just time that tackle and get it away. So you always get beaten in those 1v1 situations, and it's risky because when you're in the Champions League and he's against Rodrigo or Vinicius, that could be a real problem. Or Kavica Kvaratskhelia, that could be a real problem. So I like him as a player. Yeah, I like him as a player. The only thing I really I'm afraid for him is if you're going to play out wide, you need to deal with those runners. You need to deal with the runners.
Yeah, I hear you. For the Rashford has dribbled past him a couple of times. The one for the Brighton game, he actually wasn't dribbled past, but I know what you mean. Like, I think, I don't know who got the ball in midfield, and then Ben White just lost focus just for 1 second, and Mitoma ran in behind him. It doesn't count as dribble past him, but it does count like he ran ran in behind him, and Ben White wasn't like totally caught on. He did the same thing against Aston Villa last season. I think it was for the Coutinho goal when we won.
For the Coutinho goal. Yeah,
like the ball was played in behind him. But yes, I do see what you're saying. Like when you're up against Vinicius and those kind of guys, maybe having a Tomiyasu or a Timber there could be better. So the last one is Tomiyasu. Why is he not in your starting lineup? He was absolutely incredible before he got injured. There was a David Beckham pass against Lens, absolutely amazing. He was, people say he can't attack, he runs forward. He was putting in crosses in that game, got an assist for Odegaard. What do you make of him? Or would you use him most at left back or right back?
Well, I think with Tomiyasu, he's one of those players that don't get into the team, not because they're not good enough, but because the talent in the team is like levels, massive, big levels. So for me, I prefer him at left back, by the way. That's where I've seen him a lot of the time. But that's where we also do not have good cover. Jakub Kivio, I would rather play Kivio at centre back, right? So Tomiyasu at left back to deputize Alexander Zinchenko. That's what I would rather do. But again, I think Arsenal will be forced to listen to offers on Tomiyasu. I think they will be forced because for me, he's too good when he's fit. He's too good for you to keep on the bench. And when Timber comes back, Timber is like the last jigsaw, the last piece in the puzzle for Mikel Arteta's plan, coming from defensively, right? So I think Tomiyasu, play him at left back. If we can keep him, it would be massive, like massive. If we can extend his contract before the summer, I want him there. I really do. If anything happens to Gabriel, you can play him because he's very good on the left hand side. You can play him in a back three when we decide to play that. You can play him at right back, left back, and at anywhere at centre back. I think he can even play somewhere in midfield if you didn't have options like completely. He's one of the players that I think he's what we didn't have in Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Because with Niles, you had a right back, you had a midfielder, you had a left back, but not with the quality. The same thing with Cedric. You have them, they're available, they can play there, but not with the quality. But with Tomiyasu, he has the quality. But of course, what do you think? Do you think Arsenal can keep him for another 2 years, even with Saliba, Timber, Zinchenko, and all these guys ahead of him?
I think we can. I think we can keep him for another 2 years. They're still not that old, all of those defenders. As long as he's happy to be rotated, I'm sure. I'm not sure we'll have like a spell of 15 games in a row where it's just Zinchenko and Timber and Tomiyasu and Ben White are just on the bench. No, I feel like there's going to be rotation, just like we spoke about in a different video, like in the midfield. There's games where we'll have Timber and Tomiyasu if you need to totally defend against like a Liverpool or a Real Madrid or something like that, and then there's games where you'll need Zinchenko and Ben White to play that particular game. So hopefully they do keep him because, as I said, at the beginning of the campaign, people are asking for him to be sold. I was like, no, you have to give him this and let's see how he does. Before he got injured, he did very well. The only worry is the injuries. If he comes back again and gets injured again, that's the problem. They might think about moving him on and moving Smith Rowe on. But I think he's a very good player. Maybe if we don't play him every single day, it can keep him fit, and maybe the likes of having Timber and Zinchenko and Ben White can help him. Like, it just comes on for 20 minutes. I mean, he came on against Man City, is what they're the reason why we won that game as well with this run. So hopefully we can keep him because he's very good, man. And he's a solid defender. He's a man. Back in the day we didn't have men defending for us. Now we have like men in the team. We've talked about 7 defenders. You've also brought in Cedric. There's the last one. Gvardiol has been struggling at Man City at left back, and we've seen Kivio struggling at Arsenal at left back as well. Do you think that's the reason why he's kind of struggling, because he's being played as a left back? Do you think it'd be better at centre back coming on and playing next to Saliba and Gabriel is rested or something like that? Or do you think this is a player that we can eventually upgrade on?
Well, listen, Cedric is happy to be at Arsenal. Lucky, happy and lucky to be at Arsenal because he can't believe it. If you look at the players that are ahead of him, like if he was known as probably strong-minded, he would cancel his contract. But you never know what comes with injuries, right? So I would keep him till the end of the season, but that is the end for Cedric. That is the end, right? At right back, I think he would just be like a Rob Holding, shadowing. He would shadow your opportunity of getting a better player, right, in that position, and eventually you will pay for it. It's very different from Jakub Kivio. I think with Kivio, he's suffering more of the Gvardiol problem. You've been brought in from a club where you are a main centre back and you're playing at centre back and you are playing a huge role, and the manager is trying to adapt you to a new system, something new, a new league, a new system, a new team, and a new position. So you're always going to struggle. You're always going to have problems, in the new role, right? So I think it's very different. Cedric, for me, just like Ban Leno, just like Iwobi, they should be at Fulham. If he's at Fulham, I think he does a decent job. But at Arsenal right now, he's either going to find it very difficult to get into the team, or he will not get into the team at all. So he's one to upgrade on, really want to upgrade on. You bring in someone younger, like the way you've seen. I like the way you guys have been doing it, bringing the likes of Livramento, quite very young, and then the other one they brought in from Chelsea, quite very young as well. Yeah, Hall. That's what I want us to do. I would love us to bring in these young players, happy to be there, happy to be deputizing, but they have that quality. Because Tino Livramento is a player outside of Arsenal every single day, right? Because if you brought him in at left back, and he's on his good day, Alexander Zinchenko would have actually to improve, because defensively he gives you that, and going forward again he's a mesmerizing talent. So Kivio, outkeep, and he's adapt him to those two positions, because at Arsenal it's very hard to be it's very hard for you to play if you're playing one position. Like, we don't even have a player who plays one position. We do not have. Jesus, Saka, all these guys can play like in 5 rows, depending on depending on the need. So adapt Kivio, sell Cedric Soares.
Okay, interesting. So our defense is good, man. Looking at our defense back in the day, man, I was rewatching Arsenal against FC Porto yesterday, and saw Giroud coming on. Koscielny is very good, but some games he used to lose concentration all over the place. So we are lucky to have that defense, and hopefully they can stay fit. And let's see how it approaches the January transfer window and what we do with them, the likes of Kivio and Cedric. But that will be interesting.